Hi, everyone, and welcome to our spotlight on perceptual style coaches. Today's guest is Jamie Miller. So, let me give you a little background about Jamie before we get started. She is the co creator of Strength Academy, where she helps breadwinners build consistency with fitness, nutrition, and stress management. I want to hear about all these, right? But they can do this for someone at any age so that you're strong and resilient and ready for whatever adventures life is going to hand you. So, what I love about Jamie's story is how personal this work is for her. After spending more than a decade running a successful online school and sacrificing her health in the process, she partnered with Craig Gabrowski to reverse engineer his approach to having a strong body and being ready for action. They created a path that anyone can use to regain strength and balance in their lives. Along the way, she went from a self described desk potato to someone who trains consistently and lives the mission she teaches. So today we're going to talk about her journey, her approach to coaching, how she uses perceptual style, and how she gives her clients the clarity, capability, and confidence they need. So, Jamie, I'm glad you're here. This is going to be fun.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it.
I love it. Let's just start out with what pulled you into coaching in the first place?
Well, I guess it was probably more necessity. I mean, I started my online school, first one in 2010, and it was for exam preparation for non-native English speakers who had to get a very high score on an English test speaking. And I guess what I found with it over the years is that it wasn't so much about the information, but like so much more of the psychology of how we show up in stressful situations that makes us successful. So I guess I kind of started as an English teacher and, like, ended up being much more on the coaching side of it.
I love it. It's fascinating. I love it. And you co-created Strength Academy. So tell us a little bit about how that came about.
Yeah, well, so in 2023, I met Craig, and basically at that point, he was looking for somebody to help him reverse engineer his process. He had all of this knowledge from the 20 years of experience in athletics, playing football, and then 5 years of experience coaching athletics. And he really understood how to transfer the mental focus that athletes bring in moments of pressure and being able to handle like high amounts of intensity to stay focused and just get it done, combined with understanding how to move his body, how to stay physically active and fit and healthy. And so I was at that point in my own journey where about a year and a half, almost 2 years prior to that, I had been facing increasingly bad health challenges because I
Wow.
had put my career first for so long, working online, working really long hours at the computer. I really did not understand how to take care of my body or how to exercise and how to make good choices with food that were going to support me having consistent energy. So it was interesting to me when Craig brought this up because it was like I understand the curriculum design aspect of it, and it was like this whole new world that was just very interesting to me. That was what started with it, and yeah, we've been working on it ever since.
I love it. But what a great thing. I mean, it ties so often people are focused on just diet or just some kind of exercise training or just stress. And what you've done is combine them because they're all interlaced, I guess is how I would say it.
Yeah, I think they definitely are. I mean, for us, we do focus on like how to direct your mental focus and we're talking about something that goes deeper than perceptual style necessarily or that is heavily influenced by perceptual style, but still like the thoughts that we have and the way that we approach a situation and the conversations that we have with ourselves about our ability to be successful really influence our results with fitness and with nutrition. So that's something that we take into account. And then, yeah, the exercise piece of it, moving your body, and then navigating nutrition because it's so much deeper than a meal plan. I mean, it's really about
Right.
understanding how to make food choices. So it was interesting to me because I think Craig is activity. I've had, and so
I
I
love it.
feel like we can nerd out about this because like perceptual style people understand these things. So like Craig has a very holistic view of it, right? I mean, he sees the big
Right.
picture of how, yeah, all of these things are interlaced and how they all are connected to each other.
I love it. And one of the things you said I think is really great. We're going to talk about perceptual style in a minute, but there are some things about brain health and about just psychology that are true across all styles. And something, for example, that I think is really probably comes up a lot in your area is what a confirmation bias. People thinking that they can or can't do something based on some previous experience. And then sure enough, they can't because their mind has already told them they can't or whatever. And it's dealing with that. And that doesn't make any difference what your style is. We all, get impacted by confirmation biases and other biases like that.
Yes, no, and I love that you're bringing it up because it reminds me of my experience in 2023 when I had this random whim that I wanted to get healthy. It's like a very vision thing that I'm like, "Oh, cool, I've got a burst of motivation. Let me do
Because
something with this." Let me think. And as I did that, like all of this childhood trauma, for lack of a better word, came up of the memories that I had of how bad I was at sports. Like I was the kid that got hit in the face with the ball in PE class
oh,
and
ouch.
yelled at, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like I did not enjoy physical activity at all, and I really ran from that, like, in my childhood years and then became an adult that also avoided those things, and so when I went back to trying to exercise, in my late 30s because, like, my doctor had basically told me that I needed to get my health taken care of and, like, I needed to reduce my stress, all of those old issues and experiences came up again, and so we do face that confirmation bias. I mean, that was what I was dealing with was, like, messages of, like, "I suck at this," or "I can't do that," or "This is hard," and that was the first layer of what I had to work through because the actions themselves to exercise tend to be relatively simple, but it's all of the self-talk that we bring to that experience that will that can block us from actually
Exactly.
forward with it. Yeah.
I think it's fascinating work that you guys do. So I know you learned about perceptual style years ago. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, fortunately, my mom found you, and so she and I were she's also an entrepreneur, and she was in business coaching, and at the point in 2010 when I was establishing my first business, she had this wild hair that it would be awesome for me to figure this out, and then why don't we use the results of that to design a business that's around you? So in 2010, I found out that I was vision and that I had certain talents and opportunities that were easier for me to focus on. I basically built my entire first business around doing the things that naturally just felt like home to me. And then as I continued working in exam preparation, there were these certain clients that just kept hitting a wall and we were trying everything that we could to get results for them, but they weren't moving forward. And
Mhm.
when I was talking about that with my mom, like, how am I going to be able to get results with these clients? She was like, I think actually if you gave your clients the perceptual style assessment, they would be able to give you these details about like what is blocking them. And so I started using it. I can't remember exactly when, but I want to say like probably around like 2020 that probably started surfacing again for me that it was something important. And I had some really incredible breakthroughs with some of my clients because we were able to figure out what their perceptual style was and then what their natural action capacity, their talents, their opportunities, and in a lot of cases for people that are stuck, endeavors that they're
Right.
grinding through. So when I started using it with clients, it was like this magical game changer because suddenly I was able to see their strengths, their weaknesses, and their blind spots, and then I could guide them around it. So then naturally, when Craig and I were developing Strength Academy, it was like, we have to use this. If we're going to be working with clients for a year to improve their health and their fitness and their exercise, we have to know how they're seeing the world, how they're experiencing these things, and again, just where their blind spots are. Because for me as a coach, the difference between working with somebody when I know their perceptual style and not knowing it, it just feels like driving like in daylight versus driving through with tiny little light on the front of your car.
Um, that's a great analogy because I think it's a shortcut to understanding, and it allows you to sort of frame what you're saying in a way that meets them where they are quickly. And one of the most important aspects of coaching, I think, no matter what your specialization is or how what you coach, is having the trust of the person that you have their best interests, that what you are going to share with them is something they can actually use and do. And a lot of that has to do with how you communicate it and the words that you use and the approaches that you use. And if you're aware of upfront what's going to reach them the best, right? But also the things that probably are going to worry them so that you can surface those things and have those discussions. I think it's a game changer. I really
Yeah,
do.
no, it absolutely is. I mean, I think that the coach, I mean, as a coach, we benefit from using it. I think that I see that there are faster results happening more efficiently. And especially in the realm of fitness and exercise, it turns into a matter of safety, like physical safety, of being able to guide people through that and helping them avoid injury. But then also, as a client going through that process, it's around really feeling seen and knowing that there's nothing wrong with you. Because I think often, like, when we make an investment in a coaching program or we hire a coach, we look up to that person, and there can be a part of us that wants to discredit our way of doing it because, like, we're a student, we're there to learn, we're there to get better. And so then we can discount all of these strengths that we actually bring to the table just because we're
Right.
not enough like the coach who's guiding us.
Exactly. Exactly. That's a really good insight because I think you're right. Sometimes we're just attracted to coaches because they do something well that we don't think we do well. And what we're looking for is their guidance, not to emulate them, but we might start out with that. We want to tell them how to do it on our own and how to
Yeah,
make it work for us, right?
100%.
I love it. One of the things that you've mentioned to me before about your coaching philosophy is helping people redefine what they're capable of. I really like that phrasing. I really do. So tell us a little bit about what that looks like in day-to-day work.
In terms of helping people redefine what they're capable of, yeah. I mean,
Yes.
I guess it starts just from my own experience with the roots of Strength Academy. And as I was saying, when I had this whim in 2023 that I wanted to get healthy again, that burst of motivation would have been incredibly short-lived because as I started taking some local fitness classes and then venturing to the gym ever so bravely where I did not feel like I belonged at all and I just felt incredibly self-conscious and out of place and very awkward. I fell on the treadmill during my like one of my first
Ouch.
weeks. Yeah, right. And so it was painful, but it was also embarrassing. And figuring out how to navigate that, like, that was a moment that old me would have just given up because I didn't know, like, what should you actually do? And, like, that was where Craig was providing guidance about, like, how to recover the way that athletes recover when they have a team of people that's taking care of them. Like,
Right.
there are people that, like, it's just their job to help athletes recover. So Craig has all of this really incredible knowledge about if you fall, if you sprain something, if, something's hurting, how do you take care of that so that you're accelerating recovery? It doesn't mean that it's
Right.
gonna be totally painless, but you're getting through it faster, and most importantly, not allowing that injury or getting hurt to stop you from going back because that's the kind of thing where, like, falling on the treadmill would have been the end of it for me if this had
Right.
happened in any other context. And so it was interesting because, like, I fell on the treadmill and I followed Craig's advice about how to start taking care of that pain. And the next day, I went to my fitness class and I was taking everything much slower because, like, our big thing is that you adapt the way that you exercise to how you're feeling that day. So when I was showing up for my fitness class the day after falling on a treadmill, I was much slower. My movements were much smaller. I didn't have the usual intensity or good
Right.
food that I normally would have been bringing. And so my trainer in that class came over and commented on it and was basically asking, like, why I was like that. And I said to him, like, I fell on the treadmill yesterday. And his reaction was to laugh. He laughed at me.
Oh no.
Yeah, and it was really interesting because this was a
Oh,
moment that, again, old me, like the girl that got hit in the face with the ball in PE class, would have been really embarrassed about that, that I
right.
wasn't good enough and that I did something wrong and that I was stupid and weak and all of these things. And it was so interesting because he laughed at me and I just looked at him and I was like, I'm showing up today for your class. And he just stopped laughing and just looked at me and walked away.
Oh, I
And it
love
was
it.
this moment that was like, it was just this very different shift in myself about it that, like, I respected myself for showing up. I wasn't embarrassed about it. I didn't feel any humiliation, and I sure was not going to let a trainer, I with, like, air quotes now, but, like, I
Right, right.
wasn't gonna let a trainer make me feel embarrassed about the fact that I was showing up for my health. So I guess, yeah, I mean, just when we think about redefining what we're capable of, it's those small moments, like, especially when we're early on in our health journey and we're getting started again, like, we're
Right.
moving through all these emotional layers of the stories that we carry from the past, you know, and that was where I really started learning, like, I have to bring that intention and self-respect for myself into that moment, because there are going to be people that will try to test it, and they'll try to put
Yes.
you back in the place that you used to think that you belong in, and I had to be the one to take those steps forward.
I love that. It made me think about something that happened to me. So my husband and I, our whole family has played soccer forever, right? So the kids played. He played all through school. I started playing soccer when I was 40, so that was a unique experience. But I mean, I'd been to so many games with all the kids and stuff. I really thought I knew what I was doing. I was a basketball nerd in high school and college, but so we played outdoor and indoor years and years and years. It goes on. It was a family thing. Family sports are fun, right? And so when our kids were older and went off to college, we found out who they were dating by who they brought to the soccer games. It was kind of fun. We played outdoor open league, which for people know that it just, you have to be 18, right? So here you are at way past 18 running on the field with these. I would have those moments like I'm running and I think, did I stop? But it just went that but, I got I was very lucky over the years, but I did get really hurt one time. I got clipped and my kneecap popped out, which is not important, but it was like I screamed.
I mean,
I
important. It is important.
just into the story.
It's
So
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 painful. Oh my god.
the ambulance comes, right? They have to carry me off the field, right? And I'm in the ambulance, and this very young paramedic who I swear had just qualified for open league. I don't know that he was older than 18.
Just 18.
Right. You know, he asked me my age, and at the time I was 61. And he asked me, I said 61, and he goes, I'm sorry, your age? I said 61. And he goes, may I ask you a question? I said, certainly. He goes, well, why are you playing soccer at your age? Okay. And I looked at him and I said, do you play any sports? And he goes, no. And I go, then my answer to you is because I can.
Yeah.
But, because I can, bro. And it's not going to stop. I mean, why would I stop if I can? It's so much about the mindset that you have, right? Because I guess I could have felt embarrassed. It was like, let's see if you can
Well,
run.
yeah, because I
Right.
mean, we are constantly surrounded by these judgment moments where somebody's going
Yes.
to tell us their opinion about what we're doing. Like, this paramedic doesn't think that somebody at your age should be playing soccer. Like, what else are you supposed to be doing? Like, you have a button.
Exactly.
It's fun. Use it. Go on the adventure. And I mean, I think that that's
Exactly.
ultimately like what it's about, is that we are capable of so much, but we have to move through that judgment.
You have to do that. And that makes no difference what your perceptual style is. It's that there's
Yeah.
self-judgment is there, right? Perceptual style can give you some insights as to the kinds of things that you may, based on your style, be the most concerned about. Whether embarrassment is more important than lack of connection or, it feels lonely. I mean, some of those things can play into it, but the self judgment is going to be there
Yeah, it's
regardless.
gonna be different. Yeah, it's gonna be different. I mean, I would say, well, I do have a short list of what I would say would be some challenges that people could bring in based on their
Right.
perceptual style. So,
Most definitely.
yeah, if
That's great. I mean,
yeah,
I don't
okay, we'll go there. Yeah, because I think like each style is gonna bring their own kind of self judgment into the situation. So, in the context of fitness and nutrition, goals and methods are going to be a lot more to just push themselves to go through the motions, get the job done, get the task done, no pain, no gain. And regardless of what is happening physically in their body, they may continue to just push themselves to just get through it, or potentially a very vision goal leaning vision might also have that, right? So it's like that's where they may just be going through the motion without actually experiencing the result or the benefits of it and maybe pushing themselves too far, potentially getting hurt.
Right. They get married to the process
Yeah,
or the end result. I need to be
yeah,
at this point by day 5. You know, those, what were the, I had some friends that trained for a marathon, and it was, I can't remember. It was like from couch potato to marathon runner. It was like day 1, you need to go these many miles. Day 2, you need to do this. And so they would get really stressed if they didn't meet the number
or
that was supposed to happen on that
yeah,
day.
yeah.
But I think you're right on with those styles having that could be a blind spot for them.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I mean, vision and activity are gonna be all about anti-repetition,
Yes.
anti-routine. We're like, "But it's boring though. I already did that and
Yes.
I don't wanna do it again." And that's the irony with a lot of fitness and nutrition is that the consistency of showing up repeatedly is what delivers the result. So, I think that for us, like, our approach with it is that there's a middle ground with all of this. There's the routine, but there's also the need to adapt to it. And so when we understand what people's perceptual style is, we can help them meet in the middle.
I think that's so cool. Made me think something else. I was talking to someone just the other day who started a strength training program at the in May, and it's been delightful. But one of the things that she said was the thing that helped her stay consistent, and she's activity, is that they changed the routine set every 6 weeks. So when she was stuck in a time that she felt it was boring or just like this is really hard, she would remind herself how many weeks she had left until they were changing the routine, right?
Exactly.
And so it kept her motivated. For someone else, it would have been, why change? This is really good.
I mean, it's crucial. Like, I
Spot
mean,
on, yeah.
yeah, if you can't stay motivated, I mean, it's never.
Yes. Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. I love it. I love it. Well, let's see. I was going to say just a couple personal things here that I think are fun. You love journaling. Why do you love journaling?
I do love journaling. I guess because I was the kid that got hit in the face with the ball in school. I mean, seriously, I was so awkward when it came to I did play basketball briefly, and then got out of it, and I avoided everything with sports. So, my happy place where I just felt good about everything was in my room with a journal, doodling or designing a new, like, font set. I was very much into kind of, like, graphic design and stuff like that when I was a kid, I just liked the
Oh, love
color
it.
aspect of it. So, it felt safe, you know, and so I
Right.
got good with words and I wrote stories and those kinds of things. Like English class was where I felt like I could actually do something without getting embarrassed. So, you know, I think like as a kid, we just double down on what we're good at.
Right.
And then like we grow into the adult that has the same strengths and weaknesses that are just magnified.
From our childhood.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Have you incorporated any journaling in the curriculum that you have at Strength Academy?
yes, we have. And so there's a couple of ways that journaling factors in. I mean, first of all, what I know from years in teaching is that especially for adult learners, and a lot of us we know, we want to take notes, we want to write things down. Even though we're very surrounded by this digital technical world, it is so
Right.
important to have a record of something that's not in the cloud in Google Drive trying to tick through. But like being able to just pick it up off of the desk. You know,
Right.
so like we've got our book, it's in the background here, but it's like that is the time capsule where we're recording people's growth and transformation. So we have incorporated that note taking and then also, yeah, journaling. We have a unique process that we take people through that helps them change those kinds of thoughts like, I can't do this, or this is too hard, or I'm bad at that. Flipping that into an empowered conversation so that they can move forward with it. So, yeah, it's a big part of it. And I would say for myself, it's how I got through all of those really triggering moments of insecurity because they came up. I mean, exercising and moving my
Right.
body brought up all of the old insecurities and like I had to have a way to move through that. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds fascinating. It sounds like and one of the things it shows is that it's a very holistic approach, as you said. It's a very holistic approach to exercise, nutrition, and stress management. And so you're not just going to learn how to move your body, but why, how to fuel it, and how to stay consistent with it. I like that.
Yeah. Okay. It's we like it.
I like it. I like it.
I,
No, I was gonna ask you another personal question just because I think it's fascinating. So, is it true you've walked across hot coals?
I did. Yeah, I was at a Tony Robbins event. I think it was 2015. And I went to his Unleash the Power Within, and I was a participant in the audience. And have you ever listened to Tony Robbins for any extended period?
Not for an extended period of time, no.
Because he gets you ramped up. And like, I was in this auditorium with thousands of people, and he just talks for hours and hours and just gets you into this like other state of being and gets you ready, gets thousands of people ready to go walk across hot coals. And I kind of didn't believe when it was happening that it could actually be real. Cause I mean, when you've never done something like that before, somehow in my mind, it just had to be a hoax. It was like,
Right, right.
this can't actually be happening. And I remember after I walked across them, I took a photo of my feet and they were fine. There was like no burns or anything. And again, this was the girl that was very weak, like very physically weak. So it was fascinating and crazy to me that I didn't get burned. And the next year I went and volunteered on the crew to help build the fire and like sweep the parking lot and usher people across all of these lanes of coals. And I realized that it was real. And then I decided I did it again. Like after we helped everybody go over the coals that second year, I took off my socks and shoes and like walked over it. And it was just like, yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, again, it just shows you what the mind is capable of.
What the mind is capable of.
So much of
Right.
it is about where our mind is and what we're focused.
Yeah, and I think mind work is the key to a lot of things. Understanding yourself is the key to the most, I think, because when you know more about yourself, then it's easier to put in perspective around what you're doing and focus more on what you do well and use those strengths to help you accomplish tough things as opposed to focus on fixing yourself, which is sort of a never
Yeah.
ending issue.
No, and one thing that Craig always brings up is the connection between the alignment of the mind, the logical mind, and your heart space. Like, because when you want to do something and you feel empowered, everything is easier. And so I think that's where our program with Strength Academy and the journaling activity that I was talking about before, it's about making sure that those things are matched up. Because when your mind and your heart are like pulling in opposite directions or they're fighting with each other about something. You know, your heart wants you to be brave, but your mind has all of the reasons and memories,
All the
like
reasons, right?
the failure and all of these past experiences. Like, we've got to find a way to get them in sync with each other because when we get them in sync, that's where we're unlocking that power, which, as I said before, is like redefining what we're actually capable of. Because it's the argument between the mind and the heart, I think, that stops us from being able to actually move forward.
Oh, I really like how you said that. That is great. I love it. Do you think perceptual style in your coaching practice sets it apart from other coaches in your
Yeah.
area of expertise?
I definitely know that using the perceptual style sets us apart because the breakthroughs that I've had with clients when they were working in my process and I didn't use perceptual style with them and we couldn't figure out what was blocking them. And I was racking my brain. I mean, vision can come up with a lot of ideas and alternative routes, and none of those were working. And so at that point that I used perceptual style to understand what their style was, also what their natural action capacity was, and are they more transactions, resources, or operations preference? That was like shining the light on this whole invisible system that had been operating. And when I knew what that was, in a number of cases, we were able to rapidly, sometimes as soon as like 2 or 3 weeks, get people results that they hadn't been able to get for years.
Wow. That's impressive. That's impressive. I think the thing I like about perceptual style, but again, this is me because obviously I'm not objective about it. But
You might be. No. We're glad you're not.
I think it adds insight, but I also think it's easy to use. It's one of those things that once you know it, you can't unsee it. And it helps in all sorts of things. You use it specifically for a particular program, or I use it, like with career or leadership or something like that. But it helps in your day to day life. So once you're
So
aware,
much.
You
Yeah,
know?
no, I mean, I think that if more coaches were using perceptual style, we would see the success rates in many industries climb a lot because, especially in the realm of entrepreneurship and coaching, there's a lot of people who either are activity or vision, or they seem like they're trying to be like activity or vision,
Right.
having those attributes. Whether or not they are, that may be another side of it, but it's like knowing, what am I trying to say? We'll edit around this. That coaching and entrepreneurship industry has a lot of biases and preferences for how things should be done. And so
Yes.
that influences the way that programs are run, the way that programs are delivered, the way that clients are met with, the way that clients communicate with their coaches. Like there's so many kind of like unspoken things that just happen because like one or two styles prefer it to be a certain way, and it's like their home space or their talent to operate
Right.
that way. And this is what I guess I kind of alluded to it a little bit before about how when in the past I've invested in a high ticket program, I look up to the coach that I'm joining, and I'm more likely to discredit and discount my own experience in the attempt to emulate them.
Right.
And I think that in that process, this is where the success rates can be lowered in the industry as a whole because the clients are all trying to be the coach. They're all trying to pretend to be like the coach, whether or not they actually can. And even if people are the same style, they're going to do things in a slightly different way. And so I just think that there's so much about communication and results and efficiency and effectiveness that perceptual styles just brings that light to it. And I mean, I've certainly wondered, I wanna know what the perceptual style of my coach is. Like, I've got a guess about what I think it is, but I don't know because they haven't said
Right.
it, and it wouldn't be my place, but I do wish that more coaches were using it.
I do too, and it is part of our mission starting this year to bring more coaches in and have them get advantage of the tool. But I think one of the things that's interesting is that people have a gift to give, right? And they have something that they do very, very well. And because they do it very well, and because it's natural for them, they just assume that everyone can learn to do it their way. And so the gift of perceptual style is that it opens their eyes to everyone can get the same result, but they're not going to do it the same way. And you can fine tune how you deliver your coaching practice to meet that person where they are. So they can actually, everything is actually usable and reachable for them. And they're not trying to emulate you. They're making it their own because that's
Yeah.
what successful coaching really does is that person walks away with it made their own. I mean, we're not coaches for life, right? We're coaching for a specific thing, accomplishment, objective. And then the hope is that the person is totally equipped now to make this part of their ongoing life, right?
Right. Yeah, and I mean, and I think that actually it does circle back to part of why Craig and I decided that we really wanted to use perceptual style inside of Strength Academy because with his background in coaching athletics and then my background in test preparation, what both of us understand is that our clients are only successful when they can operate without us. Like
Right,
independent skill acquisition is necessary. I can't go into the test center with any of my students. Craig can't go out on the field with any of his people and like do it with them during a competition or during that moment. So when it is so important to develop that ability, it's essential that any curriculum, like whatever it is that the coaching program is trying to develop, you need to make sure that your clients are actually learning those skills. And this is where I think that especially in a lot of like online marketing and just like the online entrepreneur and coaching space, there's like one way of doing it and there's this assumption that
right,
if you didn't understand the directions, there's something wrong with you. Instead of
right.
like the directions could be flawed for your style.
Exactly. Or they don't hit what you think is important and therefore they don't stick. Right.
Yeah.
So I love it. I like that part. That's great. Yeah. And I think the other thing you alluded to earlier in one of your responses about knowing more about a person is the fact that perceptual style has a depth. It's easy to use, but it has a depth because it incorporates the whole person. So it's multidimensional. It's not only how you process information, it's about how your life experience tells you what to do with it.
Yeah.
So it's the combination of those two things, and that's why it can be very powerful the more you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I found when I use it with clients, I mean, depending on the context, there's been a time when I said the reason that I'm doing this isn't so much for you to understand it, it's more because I'm gonna adjust the way that I communicate with you. I'm gonna adjust the way that I give you instructions or directions about how to achieve something because it can just feel like it's another thing that they need to figure out. And
Right.
for me, it really is more about I want to make sure that I am the most effective and efficient. I want my clients to get results. Like, I want to make sure that we get results, and perceptual style does make that easier.
I love it. Well, I'm glad it does. So, and you're proof, you're proof perfect. So, all right. Well, thank you very much. This is yeah. If people want to learn more about Strength Academy, how do they find you?
Yeah, they can come to championingcommand.com and there will be a big button on the page. About that, we have a free guide. So we do have a 3-step guide to being consistent with fitness and nutrition. So if people want to check that out, that's available. Yeah. Or send us a message.
Excellent. Well, I will add the details and actually have the links on both the articles and the video for this. So we'll do that. So, well, I really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much. Thank you for being part of the Perceptual Style Coach family. You add a lot to that family. We really like what you've done. It's impressive. And, you're helping spread perceptual style in the world in practical and usable ways, which is really important to us. So we really appreciate you a lot.
Thank
So,
you. Well, we appreciate you because we know that you and Gary have spent a very long time with so much energy just making this happen. And you guys are creating that ability for coaches to see inside of their clients and understand their world, and then for clients to make faster progress. So, yeah, hats off and thank you for all of that effort.
what? Great. Thanks. Well, thank you for that. So I love it. Well, this is great. And thank you very much. And I hope everyone enjoys it.
Thank you.
Thank you.